Dallas 46 Intrigue Airsoft again. I was getting around to soldering on some Dean's Ultra plugs to a battery and an airsoft gun, and I figured I might as well get this on tape and upload it to YouTube. If you guys might have heard before, Dean's connection, reduced resistance, increased volt flow. You might get a faster trigger response, a little bit of an increase in your rate of fire. They're basically flat tabs instead of a prong connector, so you get a better connection. Now, this is the old tamiya connector that we're all used to in our airsoft batteries, mini or large, same difference. Now the drawback of this break, pull out of their plastic casing, hard to clean. You're not going to be able to clean any foul up or gunk off them. They create choke points. Just a real pain in the ass. Bottom line is, Dean's and tamiya connectors, they both work. I mean, it's not that big of a deal, but if you're a perfectionist like me and you like to fix things that aren't broken, Dean's connections are something that you might want to look at. So here we go. Here's my Dean's connection package. I went ahead and ripped it open. Now you get a male and female plug with these. You can also get them in 2 male packs or 2 female packs. They, however, do sell them in a male and female pack. And I'm going to be connecting it to my battery first. Now the thing you want to remember is obviously red is positive, black is negative. First and foremost, when you are cutting those wires from your battery wire, the wires that are connected to your tamiya plug currently, you cut one wire at a time. Be very careful. Do not cut both wires at the same time. The metal on the scissors could arc it. You could pop your battery. You could blow it up in your face. So this is something that you definitely want to be safe and cautious about. This is going to be the hardest part of your mod here. Make sure you have a little bit of electrical tape on hand. I'm going to go ahead and speed the tape, but make sure you have some electrical tape on hand so you can cover one wire and make sure that it doesn't touch the other exposed wire after you get them cut here. So here I am cutting it. And like I said, I went ahead and sped this up, and I'm going to dub out the audio because I'm going to save your guys' ears from me cursing. I'm not that good of a solderer. Is that right? A solderist? Anyhow, cut your battery. You got, I went ahead and covered up the positive wire with some electrical tape just to be safe. I want to go ahead and strip your wire down. You don't want to strip it too much, guys. I mean, you're talking maybe less than 1/4 of an inch of exposed wire, just enough to allow yourself some breathing room to solder it to your Dean's connector here. Now your Dean's connectors do come with 4 shrink wrap tubes, which is nice. And you want to make sure you put those on the wires first. That way, after you have your soldered connection, you can slide that shrink wrap tube up and cover up your solder job and the connection, the soldered connection to your Dean's plug. I got a makeshift third hand here. I don't do too much soldering, so I can't justify buying a third hand. So I just had a little clip and a vice grip laying around, made a little third hand. It's definitely nice. You want to have something to hold those wires up while you're working. I would not advise just trying to do it by hand. It's not going to work, guys. Anyhow. Alright. So I got my wire pinned down now to my third hand here, is what we're going to call that little vice grip job. And now on the plugs themselves, it does have a positive and negative indicator kind of molded into the plastic there, so you can see what wires you're soldering down. Also, there is a guide on the back of the package that I ripped up. It tells you what tab is going to be positive and what tab is going to be negative. The solder I'm using, I wouldn't recommend it. It's just a cheap, low-grade Walmart brand electrical solder. It's lead-free, so that's always a plus. Make sure when you guys do solder, you're doing it in a well-ventilated area, as you already know. Anyhow, I tinned my tab already. I tinned my soldering iron, and now I'm just going to go ahead and tin the tab on the Dean's plug there, on the female plug. This female plug is what we're putting on the battery. Now, the batteries are always going to get the female plug, guys. And like I said, I've sped this up because I'm terrible at soldering. It also helps to grab that plug, maybe with some needle nose pliers. I had another clip handy here because that plug is going to heat up a little bit. Now the plastic around the plug, the casing around the plug is it's going to heat up as well. I mean, it's not going to melt. It's it's designed to heat up, but it's going to get hot to your fingers. So you're going to want to make sure you have some needle nose pliers, or in my case here, I had an extra clip handy. There, I've got the negative tab soldered down to my negative wire of my battery, and give it some breathing room, guys. When you're soldering your batteries, or your Airsoft batteries, your ʟİᴇᴄධ batteries, I'm not even going to get into LiPo here. This is strictly for ʟİᴇᴄධ Airsoft batteries. Make sure you give them some breathing room. When you're touching those wires are going to get hot, and that heat translates back into the battery. It conducts back down to the battery. So make sure you're giving it a few seconds to cool down. Anyhow, I got my first tab soldered down. I got my shrink tube wrap on it. Just take a lighter and let that flame just kind of lick. Don't hold that flame on it. You don't want to melt it. You just want to give it some ambient heat from your lighter just to shrink that tube. At this point, I'm taking off the electrical tape I had there to safeguard against touching the positive and negative wires together. Stripped it down again, a little less than 1/4 of an inch, maybe not even that much, just enough to give you something to bite down with on the solder to your Dean's connection here. Again, don't forget, slide that shrink tube wrap, that shrink wrap, down on your wire first. It's a big kick in the ass when you have to break your solder connection and put that shrink tube wrap back on, because you forgot to put that on the wire first. So you want to make sure it's on the wire, ready to slide up after you get that connection soldered. Go ahead and tin the soldering iron, and then I'm going to tin the tab here. Like I said, guys, I'm not good at soldering. I suck. I mean, I've done it a dozen times, but I am by no means a pro at it. So, I mean, there's plenty of YouTube videos out there, instructionals on how to solder and how to do it right. Anyhow, sliding the shrink tube wrap up on my positive line now. The beauty of it is you can cover up your hideous soldering job with that shrink tube wrap. Hit it with a lighter again, shrink it down, and it's good to go. Looks like my battery is all shrinked up. I got my tube. I got it all soldered up. My Dean's connection is solid. Give it a little jiggle. Make sure it's soldered down good. Make sure you got a really good positive connection there. And now we'll move on to the gun here. The battery's the hardest part, guys, and like I said, it's the part where you got to be the most cautious about it. You repeat the same steps of the battery. Now, in the battery, you can cut both lines at the same time. There's no power coming off those lines, so you can cut them at the same time. You don't got to worry about arcing anything. At this point, I am not going to show you guys my soldering job again because, like I said, I suck at soldering. So like I said, guys, you take your male connection. The male connection is always going to go to the gun, what you're plugging the female from the battery into. And it's got the same indications on it as well, molded into the plastic. There's a plus and a minus sign for positive and negative. Like I said, again, there's also instructions on the back of the bag that the Dean's connections come in. I'm not going to show you my soldering job because I suck. Alright, guys, I got it all soldered up here. I got it put back in the scar. I got my female and my male connections good to go. Plugged it in just like a tamiya plug. That's it. Easy as that, guys. Thanks for watching. Slap my 9.6 in there with the new Dean's connection plug on it. Maybe. Jesus Christ. Guess there's a reason why this fucking stock's so small, huh? Alright guys, so we're all done. I'm gonna slap my 9.6 with the Dean's connection on it now. Oh, you fucking kidding me.